Alright, lesson 4, fundamental of the supply operations. Supply, perceive the terminology, learning an event with the prevents with the overview of the supply with the perceive with including the source, maintenance, the safety, security, protection against the weather, the damage, the supply with the terminology, successful failure with the entire army, supply with the rest for the great, same with the proper implementation of the supply procedure for the unit level. The equipment is received with the manager's supply personnel with the incur with the obligation to account with the unit until the return supply support activity account with the equipment is included with the preparing, the processing, adjusting the document with the event with the equipment is lost for the damage, assure the maintenance supervisor you will play a very important part of the supply management accountability during the learning event with the supply of the room. We perceive the supply terminology with the discussion to show the maintenance of the supervisor, the relationship between the maintenance and supply. Your ability to accomplish your maintenance mission will depend on your good unit supply procedure. Supply terminology, inventory, the physical count of the items at hand, the verification, recorded balance of the negligence, and active admission with the responsible person will not perform, fail to perform under similar circumstances. Follow this consideration, give the degree of the care of the resourceful which the might and responsibly expect with the person concerned with the considering the age, the experience, the special qualifications, as well as the specific nature of the property, the personnel supervisor responsible for determining the reasonable for the act of the mission in question, monetary liability with the result of the personal negligence, willful misconduct, wrongful operation of the government property if the direct approximate is the cause of any of the loss of damage, destruction of such property, organization, clothing, equipment authorized applicable common table allowance to maintain with the counter for on the organizational property book, for example, the select clothing and park as shelters and halves. 4. Recover the item of the article that's selected for the base of the dollar value, the requirements for the essential worth of the boat being repaired to you again, report of the survey officials, report you the record circumstances concerning loss, unserviceability, destruction, probably which of the survey, the support of the voucher, the voucher, droppage item of the property, the record of the, which of they are listed, the response to the obligation for the individual, respect of the proper custody, care of the safekeeping of the property, and trust of the individual possession, or of the supervision with or without receipt, regardless of the condition of the property serviceability. There are two distinct types of the command, type of the responsibility, command and direct. Command responsibility applied with the officer during the command within the installation of the unit, major activity of the command responsibility and security of the public property. The command, while in use of the storage, the command responsibility extend through the observation subordinate with the enforcement of all the security, safety, and accounting. Direct responsibility applies to individuals with whom public arms are the equipment within entrusted with the care of the safekeeping, which such as the property, personal possession, and use and storage, and direct responsibility provided in two types: personal and non-personal. Personal responsibility, relationship between the individual's arms including the hand tools issued otherwise are acquired with the converted with the individual's exclusion of the personnel used with or without receive additional without the exemption of the individual personal responsibility for the property for the individual converted with their own the use of the permission and authority of the example of the stolen vehicle, the non-personal responsibility the relationship between the individual property with under the control of supervision with the scope of the individual's employment for which the individual does not have personal responsibility. 7. The sensitive item material required with a higher degree of the protection control of the because of the statutory requirement and their regulation of the medical, the items, the narcotics, tax-free alcohol, precise precious metals, the high value technical, the hazardous items, small arms, ammunition, explosive demolition material sets and kits, outfits, assemblage, various of the items look compromised. The sets of the equipment designed for the specific use of the carpenter tools, sets of the complete with all solved, the hammered levels and squares, and so on. 9. Statement of the charge. Form you of the responsible supply off the charge and list for the soldier off the Department of the Army civilian employed with the loss of the damage, destruction, government property for the cannot be the charge again for the only individual exceeding monthly base pay with a reimbursement, individual charge and accomplish with a payroll reduction. Supply economy, the full of 30 thrifty dam management, the use of supply with equipment, the basic reason for the conversion, maintaining, repairing, recovering, preserving, safeguarding, salvaging supply with each of the solar has responsibility supply economy. 11. Surveying officer authorized to make the inquiry of the fix of the responsible damage law of the destruction military property when such of the law for determined not to do with the normal fair wear with the unserviceability more included with the damage the destruction indicate with the military use of the article with the determined liability with the no longer useful the intended purpose of the damage for the destruction may or may not be involved in terms indicate with the property use of the deteriorate through the use may not include property no longer used in original purpose regardless of the region for the condition. Unit supply room procedure for the storage and maintenance. One of the first things that must be considered with the discussion supply of the room the procedure supply room itself, although one of the other things that must be considered to determine whether or not the supply procedure security measures adequate include the safety precisions of the safety against theft and the protection against the weather damage and also with the considerable well certain items require the special storage procedure. The layout of the storage facility, the important factor to determine the efficiency of the security of the storage operation. Therefore, each of the units require a certain storage facility to protect the sense for the handle supplies essential for the operation of the supply room, always necessary of the storing the supply with the continual only the issue with the supply with the arms room is required to store weapons, tool room, room and the auxiliary room, and in need of storing miscellaneous supplies such as the tools, expenditure for the housekeeping supply of the building, equipment, the maintenance building, and the necessary for the storing the paint, the cap of the hand, and the unit, the tool room, this auxiliary store that may be used with the storing tool for the other items that should be placed under the lock and key. For safety, flammable scrap, the material that must be stored in the open store with the working material of the paint, exclusion of the rags, that must be properly stored with the percent of the extreme fire hazard. These are materials that should be receptacle with which fireproof, sparkproof, properly marked, identified for the use of the self-clothing. Metal receptacles must be provided with discard oil, waste for the rags, exclusions, and mechanical clothing. Provided provisions, local standard operation procedures. All right, when the provision with the local standard operation procedure with the kitchen for the establishing safe the procedure when the second supply of the record with the theft of the pilferage of the problem supply of the community stolen with large quantities left, small quantities pilferage, some of the most of the desirable items, clothing, food stuff, and small tool for the items such as small tools, clothing, considerably sensitive items that must be kept under constant surveillance, constant inspection, lock and key security with the best protection against theft, protection against the weather damage, important with the carrier of the supply to determine whether the items should be stored within temperature or humidity controlled warehouse, storage, warehouse, shed, or open storage area with the supply store to open must be protected by the adverse weather conditions. Materials become unserviceable any of the reason they left expensive within any items with the influence but the limit of the humidity, temperature, humidity, and moisture of the air, the deterioration effect of the moisture supplies must be constantly inspected to ensure that they have not been damaged with the temperature extremity, with the inference of the paints may severely damage and even become useless when secure the temperature below freezing, often overlooked for the storage of the hazard proximity of the supply with the storage of the artificial heat such as the stoves and suspended heaters. Dunnage pollen stand for the other three primary means for the protecting supply of the other than weather element, the damage of material that is used within the transportation store with the support of the secure supply with the protect the damage to provide with the easing of the handling pollens or sheath of the can with the other moisture resistant material that are used for the conveyor the supply with the open store to protect them from the sun, wind, rain, and snow and ice. Pollens must be overlapped with the direction away with the prevailing wind folded the securely fastened to give it the maximum protection of adverse weather. Pollens must be checked for the damage tents off to provide excellent protection for the weather and erected properly. Tents are like pollens, but check with after adversely weather conditions. Learning event 2, the prescribed load list requesting supply status and cancellation turn and procedure. Manual procedure, manual for the operator with the supply operation with the support unit with the below the wholesale with the U with the army element deviation procedure with the outline below with the while only one made with the approval of the headquarters department, the army headquarters record the deviation account of the procedure with the prepared with the process for the AR 7355 with their supply with their sergeant and supervise the supply operation with the must therefore to be proceeded with will be given enough to each of the subordinates may most be familiar with the form of the use of the request for supplies as well when the unit is authorized how to replenish supplies and how to set the property with well and how to cancel the turn in supplies equipment. Prescribed load list. The prescribed load list is the repair parts for the quantity of essential supplies that shall be on hand with the usual level of supplies maintained with the unit level and able the unit to sustain itself with any resupply with can be affected. The prescribed load list is made with the basic load when kept with the operational load with the repair and the part of the basic load support with the maintenance operation for the combat and the 15-day with the basic load items can all be used to support the peacetime with operation 2. The normal operation load support with the daily units made with the operation normally with then use the prescribed number of the days supply to manage the evaluation of the prescribed load list. Procedure the effective managers must complete the familiar with the prescribed load list. What is the policy to apply with the prescribed load list? Records required to manage the prescribed load list in the uniform material management issue priority system. The DA Form 2063R with the prescribed load list complete with the DA Form 2063R with the figure 30 approved with the command with the prescribed load list of the manual system identifying the quantity of repair parts and the maintenance related items authorized to be on hand in order of the use of level of the prescribed load list. Consider the following items designated with the initial stock of the time, the equipment, any additional repair with the maintenance accelerated maintenance related expenditure expendable, the supply with the generated sufficient demand for the demands of the must be after the 100 days active Army with 360 days Army National Guard, United States Army Reserve to qualify for the stockage prescribed load list policy. The following policies are determined by the procedure of the prescribed load list. The total number of the prescribed load line with the may not exceed the 300 unit made with the request exemption with the majority MACOM. The units made with complete with the prescribed load list. The essential repair with the parts for the storage of the equipment list may exceed with the limit of the DAPAM 710-21, provide the details commander to keep it in the prescribed load list, also approving of the authority of the prescribed load list. Stock must be on hand the requesting unit for regular support of the unit for the maintenance for the capabilities, including support of the equipment of the prescribed load list, computation, technical manuals, identify the preparer of the NSN, the name of the recoverable code, that was prescribed the level of the maintenance authorized, request the review of the repair part of the Army master data file can be used to check the request for the data for the items listed on the NSN. DA Form 2063 Prescribed Load List. Inventory of the prescribed load list must be made on the DA Form 3318 with record the demands of the title insert shown in the Figure 31 review with the review period of the 90 days after the Army and the 100 days after the Army, National Guard, U.S. Army Reserve. DA Form 3318 with the record of the demand and title inserts. Units authorized performance maintenance unit level to include the prescribed technical manuals of maintenance level to perform the quality of the storage and items that must not be subject to the 300-line limited prescribed load list. Property bill accountability established prescribed load. However, the unit commander is responsible for exercising adequate care and surveillance over the supplies prescribed load list, stock records that they maintain with the unit for the authorized personal tool, equipment, performance maintenance, demand support of the prepared parts of equipment that the unit with the performance maintenance will include with the prescribed load list. The prescribed load list records will be kept in the area of the maintenance personnel. Typical type of the storage, the type of the storage on the hand with the unit level, the initial consumable items, direct exchange stockage. Initial stockage prepared for the established unit. The units have the trains and equipment. Initial stockage based on the essential needs support with the data, technical manual with the historical use of the data for the unit same and the equipment. The technical use of the data is not available to prescribe load list card decks, so there must be requested with the supply with the support activity of the commander. USAMC material readiness support activity attendant AMXS MDS Lexington, Kentucky 40511-5101. Respect the medical missile United States Army Intelligence Security Command Communication Security Equipment. Consumable item with stockage refer to the items that consume with the perform the maintenance such as nuts, bolts, screws, tubing, the other common hardware, the other quickly supply support. Store items may be required for the store base use, but they may be with the head of the quantity to be with the estimated 7 days of the supply, not include the operational load. The DA Form 3318 is not required unless the basic load items will request that it does not appear with the prescribed load list or the direct exchange load with the repair of the parts of the use must be in the check with the QSS list with the published periodically with the SSA after the part required has been identified. The QSS item and the request for the SSA with the QSS one for the slip, no posting other supply records required with the QSS item. Direct exchange of the stockage item will prepare with the conserve with the recover the prepare with the supply with the SSA with the through the supply system and the direct exchange under the procedure unserviceable item with the exchange with the serviceable item they will come one for one with the base for all items. Those items authorized exchange provided the using of the unit of the SA when the unit with the parts of the clear the department of the server the direct exchange prepare the DA Form 2402 with the exchange data tag the direct exchange with the prescribed load list of the parts with the clear of the exchange with the item with available the DA Form 3318 with them with the poster with the direct exchange item will not or a zero balance will be assigned with the appropriate urgency with the need designated with the commanders and designated with the representative must authenticate with the higher direct exchange of the item placing the signature block 8 in the DA Form 2402 with the direct exchange item term with the SSA copy of the direct exchange tag will retain with the player clerk as the due out with the serviceable item with the not on hand with serviceable must ensure the unserviceable direct exchange the term with the property SSA for the exchange with the due out the direct exchange item and the one file of the unit repair with the parts section of the parts clerk should be required to make frequent contact with the SSA check for those due out. Non-stock item is demand separate the DA Form 3318 must keep the record of the demand with the non-stock travel item. The items may be added with the prescribed load list after meeting the stockage carried with the demand with the most recent 180 days, 360 days Army National Guard, U.S. Army Reserve. The items may be added with the prescribed load list time in the third demand with the non-stock item demand with the first take, then the following actions. Prepare the DA Form 3318 with the item, the title, insertion, name with the complete with the title of the form. Prepare with keep only one card on each stock number the enter with the demand of the form. Not necessary to keep on the track of the due after the request for the SSA with the document requirements and register for the purpose of the file form of the non-stock with the national identification number sequence. When the non-stock item the demand with the second the following item, but the following action to enter the demand with the DA Form 3318 with line out the demand with more than 180 days old, more than 360 days old for the Army National Guard, U.S. Army Reserve. Review the form of the stock with these criteria that has been met. Review the non-stock file necessary with at least once every year with the 90 days, 180 days for Army National Guard, U.S. Army Reserve. Take the following actions. Remove the cards file with no longer the apply with the equipment that have no demand for the most for the 180 days, 360 days, U.S. Army National Guard, U.S. Army Reserve. If the cancellation required for the due that does not apply with the equipment on hand when the items meet with the prescribed load list. Stockage criteria for the information for the commander will decide with the added the item to the prescribed load list for the items added to the prescribed load list to take the following actions to add the quantity with the 3 demands in for the quantity demand with the DA Form 3318 with the use next available to underline entry do not count with any of the demand for the vote of the future in the line during the future reviews. Determine the initial stock quantity of the item for the DA Form 71021. Prepare the request of the initial stock quantity of the UNDC and request the first available line with the request section of the DA Form 3318 complete the title insertion stock record of the Form DA 3318, the fill in the DA Form 33A14 within the prescribed local load list viable file. Prepare to charge for the prescribed load list DA Form 2063R with obtain the unit commander's approval. Send the prescribed load list chain with the request for the initial stock chain to the SSA. When the non-stock of the item has been with the prescribed load list stored stockage criteria with the able to prescribed load list, the following actions, where the commander does not desire the stock item, the DA Form 3318, make the entry next line with the demand section. Continuing the keeping of this card non-stock file with the starting with the keep of the track line, demand for the uniform material management movement issue with the priority system, uniform movement material movement issue priority system designed to ensure the items of the mid delivered in accordance with the military important request for the unit, the urgency need for the item system based on the combination of the factors requiring the mission over the requested requisition force activity designer in the UND of the request. The FAD is expressed with the Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 permanent orders of activating of the unit with the personnel, including the FAD with the review of the PAD with the highest priority of the FAD 1, lowest assignment of the FAD 5. The UND determines the youth unit with the youth expressed with the urgently need with the request to supply UND that identify the letters A, B, and C. UND A with the request for the material identify the modification table of the organization equipment, or MTO, the equipment readiness code EC of the A with the required with the immediate installation repair with the mission essential material without unit activity unable to perform the assigned mission. The UNDB with the request material identified the MTO with the ERCB with the required with the immediate installation repair with the mission essential material without the ability of the unit activity with the personnel perform assigned operation mission impair with the also with the material required immediately for use installation on or repair of auxiliary equipment. UNDC with the review with the request for the identify the MTO with the ARC with the C with the required with the schedule of repair, maintenance, manufacture, replacement, all the equipment and other material required for the purpose not covered in the unit by the UMD. The priority designated the supply with the request determined the interval rate of the FAD with the to the UND the need of the item, the table to forward with the select with the priority designated with the line with the relays for the FAD with the UND, the priority designated supply with the request to determine according to the UMMIPS or AR72550. Commander of the AR will either personally review the delegate with the providing of the specific person authority review all the requests based on the UNDAB with the review will be done with the same with the request to the SSA AR710-2. Table 4 show the priority designation table. Or you prescribe load list replenishment with the priorities assigned with the replenishment required with the following the UNDC with the normally you with determine the person priority designation replacement with the prescribed load list you with the line with the not the zero balance. The UNDB with the you with determine the prescribed PD with the replacement with the IS and the zero balance. The UND authorized to determine the designation, priority designation prescribed list, replenishment of the prescribed list, records of the prescribed list, records given the following DA Form 2063R prescribed load list, and DA Form 3318 record of the demand with title insert of the form is included to record all the information such as the NSN technical manual, data nomenclature, so on, and also with the recorded damage required for the receipt inventory review. The form is maintained with a visible file. And the NIN sequence of the last 9 characters of the NSN primary to the A Form 3318 with the inform of the manual system. Also, you the units adjust for the package based on the demand experience. Requesting supplies. Units supply submit all the requests of the supplies, specifically the SSA supply with the SSA stock record. The officer determine the source of the supply requested item, request prepared, authorized, prescribed load of the stockage, and increase the items added with the unit equipment, the authorization, maintenance personnel needs prepared with the parts of the not prescribed, carry with prescribed load list, though authorized the QSS or self-service supply center in line to directly supply with the zero balance if you request the high priority stock needs to be replenished. Priority designator for all requests for the issue determined according with the UMMIPS describing the ARS 72550 commands personal review with the delegated with the writing specific person authority to review high priority request for the issue with the UNDAA 3 and the personal provided designation 01 through 8 review done through the request of the issue with the material management center stock control section. Use form request of the DA Form 2765 with the request of the issue turn and pre-punch the reprinted the is in the primary with the request of the initial issue with expand the durable to non-expendable supplies listed in the AMDF, the Army Master Data File, the DA Form 2765, manually prepared figure 33 on page 118, the issue with the pre-punch printed with the DA Form 2765, the non-available. DA Form 2765, request for the issue turn and pre-punch pre-printed. Alright, use form the request break repair part of the following form of the review of the request part of the direct exchange of the QSS required the address later in the learning event and the type of the stock of the DA form 2765 of the request and issue turn in pre-punch pre-printed figure 32 for the normally available to each for the prescribed load list for the main with the system should be filled by behind with each of the corresponding DA form 3318. Supervisor should always check with the make of the service that the pre-punch pre-printed with the DA form 2765 at being either the error of the available to either the cards lessening with the possibility of the errors considerable to make the request easier and faster to prepare. DA form 2765 manually prepared with the submit the pre-punch of the DA form 2765 available to prescribe with the SSA with the print the P entered block 3. DA form 2765 1 the pre-punch pre-printed with the OA form 2765 provided with only after the items the prescribed listing. Prescribed load list of the DA form 2765-1, request for the issue return in figure 34 for the 124 for it, carbon interleave the form. The first hard copy is retained with the SSA voucher copy. The second is tied tissue copy to return the request organization qualities and established for the due. And the third issue for the copy to the requesting activity suspension copy. The fourth hard copy will return the support activity request for the organization supply as requested. DA form 2765, the request for the issue and turn in. The DA Form 1348-6, the DoD single-line requisition system document issued with the request of non-NSN items classified the maintenance work order, the modification kit, the item requirement exemption data, DoD Form 1348-6 for the prepared 3 copies. The copies 1, 2, and 4 to the SSA, and the copy 3 is filled in due status. The DoD Form 1348-6 for the DoD single-line requisition system document. Alright, the DA Form 2064 document register supply action show with the figure 36 for the required request the recipient received during the cancellation file with the supply staff of the document number to sign with the supply of the documents and serve with the supply science file with the open the supply section when the most important documents are prepared section together with the DA Form 3318 figure 31 the DA Form 2064 is provided the basic audit trail where they apply the transaction prepare the parts of the section. There are two better type of the document register supply action non-expendable expendable durable the non-expendable document register keep the property book level expendable durable document registers to keep such element of the unit authorized to supply the supply of the request to the SSA. Or your property book it off the property book off the designates for the element unit they authorize the request for the expendable durable supply the property book off does this by either the DA form 2469 and 2496 the disposition form the OF over the will also class the supply with the DoD activity address code, the DoD AAC, to be with a restriction of an example that only one element with a unit authorized with the request of durable item. They will normally even supply with the other elements restricted with the request of durable to prevent property box officer to assure the document the number of the duplicated the property box officer does this by 1 obtaining the secure the Department of Defense activity address code. Another using in each unit supply providing the disposition form of the separate block for the document serial number of the elements for the separate blocks required the supply of the request are seen more than one element that even the Department of Defense address code supply status. Supply status tells the requester of the decision made with the supplier with the specific supply request. The supply status received with the supply SSA with the staff of the cards listing the supply status is the form of the status code with the code that's explained with the DA form 710-21. There are two types of supply status: shipment and exemption status. The DA form 2064 the document register for supply actions. One shipment status is estimated with the actual shipment data. Date the exemption of the status result of the following supply decisions made of the supplier substitution of the authorized stock number chain with the unit of the issue quantity established back over the material cannot be sent with the same delivery date with the required delivery date. Partial supply action requires the quantity requesting rejection returned without action for specific reason. Cancellation confirmed procurement of material the direct shipment with the vendor to consumer that indicate the material may be sent with the request with the site with the frame that was signed prior to the required delivery date with the due end to satisfy with the A due and the status to maintain under the prescribed load list system and file contains status card information for the form of the status code with the due and material duplicate carbon copy the request for the status to receive the DA Form 2064 document, register supply action, posted the status data status to fill with the document card number, the sequence of status cards destroyed on, receive the total quantity due and the material on cancellation, vacation, reject and file with the procedure file with the action, sometimes needed to determine the status unfilled requirement request. Alright, 1. Follow-up. The action of the priority designation 01 through 8 with request for the must be initiated with no status have been received according to the policy of the establishment of the priority designation. The concern of the staff that must be received. The file of the action must be initiated with the expected delivery date when the last ask that has been expected. The file action for the priority designation 09 through 15 are taken the time monthly reconciliation due for the no staff of the receive file with the action recorded with the document the registry card forward with the SSA of the test receive with the document registered with the posted the status cards are filled with them with the due the status file with the front with all the other cards and supply requests. Cancellation actions. While the part of the quantity ordered no longer to need, the unit may request cancellation, decancellation, proceed with the DA, PAM 71021, request the cancellation complete with the USSA, verify if the request cancel upon receipt of the cancellation status document registered the note of cancellation. Turn-in procedure for the issue determined when they are except for the authorized allowance, not even the authorization, not mandatory, unacceptable, non-economical, prepared, found on PO. The note for the detailed turn-in procedure, the DA Form 71021, the property determinant item is always issued by the SSA, normally issued the item. The SA evaluate the proper condition, accountable requirements code or recovery code with the maybe the approved the direct terminant defense reutilization market office. The items submitted not turned in directly to the defense reutilization market office without the SA approval. Forms due with an internal and list in the few of the forms and determine the description type of the property term then which either number of the form NO for the form that is used for the item of the found installation except for the service of the SSSC with this item of the DOD form 13481 the defense single line item request line receipt document with the shown figure 37 when the items received the supporting the SSA have them moved the document turn in with the DRMO. The items of the form have no value except the basic content. Scrap of the form is also used the item to dispose of the organizational level of the items does not require to turn in credit. The Department Funds Form 1348-1, the Department single line and release of the received documentation sample. DA Form 2665-1, request for the issue turn in shown for the get 34 with the use of all property non-listed with the DA Form 58-1, requesting the issue with the turn in the ammunition shown with the figure 38, prepares the sufficient copy of the local need for the Department of Defense 1348-1, figure 39, the DA Form 2765-1, figure 40, with the L28 with the design carbon set for the non additional copies should be required. The DA Form 58-1, request for the issue with the turn in ammunition. DA Form 34-4018, use the shipping document. DA Form 2665-1, use the initial supply status card. Turn in the property book item of the property book item must be accepted the unserviceable not repair with the support made before that can be turned but do not use the return activity code in terms of the item except for the technical bolts and if the word turn extends suspended by the SA will perform the technical inspection of the item. The turn of the items except but does not have technical publication of the work for the word turn in except for the serviceable does not work either turn in except for the unserviceable if they're not except for the use of the turn in replacement the unserviceable the items unserviceable enter the explanation such for the T for the fair wear tear same documentation number that's signed by the item. Make sure the following documents accompany with the turn-in. 2 copy the DA Form 2062 with hand receipt annex number that's signed with the commander of the property box officer of the 1 copy of the suspense copy that destroy the final credit the receipt the number of the 4 blue copy of the DA Form 2407 the remains for the request classification the item the unreceivable replacement the required the 2 copy of the DA Form 4615 the vehicle classification inspection required for the items federal supply or FSG 23, FSG 24, the replacement they require with the expendable durable supply with the service of expendable durable supplies must be turned in the SSA. They will, when they accept for the unserviceable expendable durable supply with the RCA ADFHNL, must also be turned to the SSA. Turn in found installation property all found on installation required the turn in the stock record accountable officer will know if found on installation property the turn to the SSA will supply with the item that is now, if not no, can be turned to the SA. Turn in the inventory temporary and use the inventory template and use are owned by the SSA. Use the items that remain the SA accountability record. The inventory template and use may also be returned in the SA issued to them. Alright, turn in the returnable container. There are 2 types of returnable containers: vendor-owned and government-owned containers. The vendor-owned containers are assigned local management control the number of the SSA before the issue of the unit. Prior to turning the vendor owned with the container of the new document number the being assigned, government owned the container of the known with the NSN with the drums, the cylinders not assigned with the document number to give the same number the document number on the same container received the SSA to turn the description and shipments that are towed type of the description and shipment of the items not requested items having the hidden effects. Turns not requested by you the DA Form 2765-1 do not assign the new document number that you the same one of the item when you receive the SSA do not enter the turn in document register enter the activity code 1T in the block 22 the turn items have the defective use the DA Form 2765-1 do not assign the new document number use the same one over the which for the item was received the using the SSA do not enter for the turn in one document register enter the revised the SU and 7 block 7U and Block 22. In the property book items, the truth of the property book receive the document was posted and grief the balance the was and post the turn in with the grief that was not filed with the document supporting the document along with the original document. After posting the other property block items, destroy the turn in document, return the property issued to support the DAA approved the emergency requirement that the property issued support the DAA approved the emergency requirements will be turned in the emergency over the risks include the property rent or lease. Do not sign the document number, new document number, the same one of which items receive the SSA. Do not enter the turn in document register, enter the return advice code SP Block 22 on completion of the turn in the document general administrative logistic file. For the property book items, after the receipt of the SSA, post the turn in, increase the property book balance, complete with the document, register of the file, and the supporting document files, destroy the turn in document, return the items to the SSSC. The SSSC with items no longer required the return when they are same in the condition, the same unit pickup pack is purchased. No paperwork is required for the SSSC with a sample of return of the items. The credits will be given the unit with the items that do not meet the criteria of the procedure of the turn in, expendable, the durable supply of the turn in them in. Learning event 3. We're going to cut the tape now.